kind of stuff we gotta do. But I mean, I'm trying to stream, trying to be more consistent with this YouTube stuff. See where we go from here. But I know my school is supposed to be doing something where, from a logistics standpoint, we got a lot of international students, especially from the Caribbean, like Bahamas, Jamaica, that type of stuff. Turks and Caicos, uh, Bermuda, stuff like that. When other places, still in the Caribbean. So, I mean, it's interesting. So I did get the new skin. For the 850. 359. So every 6 levels, you pretty much get V-Bucks. 6 to 7 levels. Only microphone audio is being recorded, are being broadcast. Okay. I think with Fortnite is good. Like, it's been good, but the product and stuff is going down. The product's definitely going down. If you got to think about it, because I mean, the whole map is covered by water. Like, you got sharks. Sharks is one thing, but the marauders and certain stuff like that, and yeah. That does not 100% make the game bad, but it does make you wonder what in the world is going on with this game. Like, the season's delays and stuff are only going to get worse from this point. I feel like maybe because of the coronavirus stuff. But with this, the build up was there, the fake hype. I feel like by hyping up, the game is still relatively good, but like aspects of the game is just not, great. It could be better. But I feel like the biggest thing that, us as fans and certain stuff, we support these games. Are the games good? Yeah, I'm glad Fortnite is a free game. Because to save yourself the disappointment from, like, I don't even think Epic is necessarily, I would kind of classify them now as a AAA publisher, but it's more like an indie game. Like a few years back, Epic was not really a big thing. Not low tier games, but definitely budget games. Fortnite's like their best selling product, but in terms of the money and certain stuff they were reporting, like the $2 billion and certain stuff like that, I mean, that's good. They're not doing that much. I know they have like a huge budget that they definitely raised the bar each season, I think, in a level, in a way. But the promotion, the marketing promotion stuff they have to do to keep up with just the game is rather interesting. That guy didn't even have the decency to pick me up. I'm leaving the game. I don't even care if that guy picked me up, but I'm leaving the game. Oh, one thing that I think is pretty bad too, if we're being honest about certain stuff, like with these games, the budget and stuff, they want to do stuff for cheap. And I know you're trying to like limit the budget, what you're putting out. You want to have sponsorships and certain stuff to underwrite some of your costs. But I think a lot of games and certain stuff has went down, particularly in the reason because of like not even this stuff going on, this pandemic, but before, like getting the top slot. Like if I was a company and I was a publisher of a game, I honestly would want to do a lot of games, like have a lot of games and then try to have a league associated with it. Like a pro league, like Valorant. Valorant is not a good game. It's broken. It's a mix of Apex and other games, in all honesty. And Overwatch. I feel like it's a more overrated version of Overwatch. And Overwatch, you got too many characters, too many selections, and the game's so long. So, and then I remember when Overwatch was big and a huge thing that everybody wanted to have like their esports team with that. You know, the competitive pool and the money associated with the game was dependent upon the number of players overall, the sales, and you know, definitely getting in a contract with like a broadcasting network or definitely a pro circuit. But I feel like every game shouldn't have a pro circuit. Every game should not have a pro circuit. Because I feel like later you basically abandon your casual fan base for your competitive, and everybody doesn't like playing competitive. Like that's why I won't play Combat League. Combat League gives you the illusion that you're actually playing a halfway decent game, like Mortal Kombat. But like, not saying Mortal Kombat is a bad game, but can I honestly see myself playing a game that's, I don't know, where you know you're at a disadvantage. Like somebody could just duck under Raiden's move and then get a full combo on you, and then that's a good, even in a crushing blow and a counter, it's a good what, 40% or 50%, doesn't matter. Like Spawn, somebody can get a good 80%. There's almost nothing that you can do about that. So if like Spawn and certain stuff like that, he has access to abilities and certain stuff like that. I know custom, you can make your own custom stuff and change the abilities and then the move set, but at the same time, you really don't have access. The big thing about Mortal Kombat is just the customization, the skins. Now, it's like Injustice. They definitely went with an Injustice way of doing things. Not saying that's bad, but you know, a lot of people want to move on from that. The thing that Injustice had an advantage over is maybe the shaders. The augments and certain stuff, I mean, they add a little bit more damage, but the whole system had to be revamped from the get-go in terms of now. Because from a standpoint, a game could only last for so long with unoriginal content. I'm not going to peek that. And for the life of me, I don't understand about certain games. The point of playing certain games. Like Mortal Kombat, I mean, I tried to get into it. I know they did a whole lot of character buffs, but learning combos and certain stuff like that, and there's no new content in the game. And the content you get, you don't have any new information about characters or just new stuff. A lot of people are not going to wait around for a game to be fixed. That's another reason why I don't like this thing. Makes too much noise and it's not really accurate at all. I mean, I can do good on Fortnite. I'm not bad at it, but I mean, I don't have a desire sometimes to play this game. And I legit mean that I don't really have a desire to play it. Okay, what I mean to be a good game, you know, may differ for the future. Like Fortnite may intend to be a good game, a great game, but you don't actually have people actually trying to play the game. No, you might as well have lost your fan base. Okay. Like, I'm not bad at this game. You see, this is my first game really on. I mean, it might take me a while to get established up here, but I mean, otherwise than that, I can try hard and certain stuff, but I feel like if you had to do a lot of stuff to fix a game, or you have to do too much to win a game, and the mechanics is broken from the get-go, I don't feel like you should even, it's not worthy of even playing, or even worthy of console space. Namely Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare is terrible. The new content in the game gives you the idea that they care and they're supporting the game. But the game, in all honesty, is not that good. Like, I mean, I have a better time on World War II, a game that's nearly 3 years old, than something like Modern Warfare. For the heck of it, Infinite Warfare is a whole lot better than, definitely, it's more playable. And then the boosts and certain stuff and the specialist type of things weren't that bad. The abilities, they weren't as bad. The only thing I can honestly say is bad and toxic is Black Ops 4, because they gave people access to certain stuff like the Zero. Zero was terrible. It ruined the game, and there was almost nothing they could do. Dang. But I feel like a lot of stuff is like besides the point. Like, if you had to think about it, being a AAA publisher allows you to get more funding, more support from a studio. But if you don't have programming developers actively like fixing the game or the mechanics or the physics behind the game, you pretty much let your fan base down. At the same time, games and stuff should be supported. You know, not withdrawing or pulling the plug on, you know, DLC. I think DLC should, for the majority of the part, be free or have some type of in-game currency that could be grinded out to acquire some of this stuff, because you shouldn't have to spend COD points to access the battle pass. I know it's free like the weapons, but some of the skins and certain stuff, like they brought back Captain Price. Modern Warfare is 3 gigs, and I don't even know how a game could be definitely easily almost 300 gigs, and you know, you're not supporting the game. What? Oh my god. To go out like that? That was terrible, and I knew I had it. Have a seat. That was good, but I was low health. I tried to rush. That was all three of them, but I mean, it is what it is. But you know, we can't do anything about it. And he's pretty good. That guy's pretty good. The vote by mail thing, I know they keep on trying to stop that. But people are not gonna go out to this poll line. There's not really anything. They're not sanitizing stuff, so it's interesting. 51,000 people had coronavirus in North Carolina. That's interesting to me. 51,000 people had coronavirus. So by having like, I don't know. North Carolina's a pretty big state, so. I have to wait for my decision from YouTube about what you call it, because I got a copyright strike. Not a copyright strike, a copyright notice. About someone doing a 2C slide, and you know, it's playing a thing. I mean, the thing about it, you can't really control that. Like, I mean, I've done the 2C slide emote, but I'm not doing it anymore just for the reason that, you know, ads. I mean, I don't make money off YouTube. I don't. I've yet to see a check from YouTube, so you know, people don't really make that much money from YouTube. It just depends. 18? Wow, you're gonna leave because you're a scrub? Oh my god. One of the biggest things I think about, like, about certain stuff that, I don't know, people say affects, like, things, like prices. If people are not doing certain stuff, the price and stuff go up. The prices are going to go up regardless. Like, I got a whole thing of, like, baby back ribs for $10 organic, and normally these are like $17 with the membrane and stuff already removed. People who process the meat, they already removed that, so I mean that's pretty decent. But that would normally be about $17, like maybe like a month and a half ago when this stuff really started getting out of hand. It definitely you know, the price and stuff went out. But besides that, I mean there was nothing really that I could do. If I wanted ribs or something like that, you know, definitely have to, what you call it. pay the price for the ribs. I just hope that there's some type of coupon. But definitely, I would even say like prices for certain stuff should be high. Like associated fee for goods, like you know, going to the store and you realize that a good is like, you know, priced 2 times higher or something like that. Like bread, like a loaf of bread used to be cheap, now it's like expensive. So bro, you can pick me up, dude. I'm gone. That's besides the point. Like, you know, paying money for certain stuff definitely is more money for certain stuff that isn't. You know, I honestly understand we're in a pandemic and people are trying to get a profit margin. You know, obviously goods and stuff has to go up because people have costs, they have process, they have transportation issues, and stuff like that. But like, if you have to charge, you know, basically $2 to $3 more extra on an item, like, I don't know. I know people were buying stuff wholesale, like chicken directly from farmers, like going to the farmers market and then buying like a whole box of chicken for maybe like $120 and certain stuff like that. Excess. And that's a whole lot of chicken. You know, you could basically be eating, but I feel like getting a whole bunch of chicken is good, but there's like new recipes and stuff that you have to keep on doing. You could do like potatoes, chicken, stuff like that. Use potatoes, let it soak up like juice and certain stuff. Make a stew, a chicken stew. That'd be pretty good. You can make curry chicken. You can do a lot of stuff, but foods and certain stuff, I mean, a lot of stuff gets old quick. Like, I know the family deals and certain stuff like that. It's not really a deal. You're paying a lot of money for an item. You're not gonna even see that the item and certain stuff is good, or a product. Like a promotional thing. Like, I know that the 2 meats thing from TGI Fridays wasn't gonna last that long. They plan to bring it back, yeah, 2021, and that's it. That's a hard if. I don't like that. This spot is better. I'm not landing there. Cause you have to dive, and who wants to dive there? It's kind of pissing me off because, like, that's what I'm talking about. You got to come in there at an angle, and at that point, if you're doing all that, then you might as well not even land here. I know I'm kind of being a hypocrite right now by landing here, but at the same time, I don't want to be a bad teammate. And the thing is, if I like land someplace like this, I'll come right here. I mean, I've gotten kills in Salty, but I like to get my loot and then not let my loot not to be contested as much. Cause it don't make that much sense. And these are the type of people that are gonna die. And 110% want you to what you call it. He's about to get clapped. That should be my kill. I'm trying to be a good teammate. I know there's definitely been a lot of influence from Mortal Kombat in this game, like the get over here card. From hitting somebody with a spear. Yeah. Right here. You are not stealing my loot, pal. Uh-huh. Paying money for certain stuff is just like, I don't know. Especially items and services and like products and just, like stuff that you know, if people stop supporting it or stop having ideas, you know people not gonna can't support like $19.99 a month for not even foods, but like a subscription service, you know. Definitely getting $600 a week for unemployment, pandemic unemployment. Certain stuff's not even unemployment. There's jobs and stuff that never coming back, so it's not even unemployment. Jobs are definitely not coming back, bro. Certain types of jobs, rather. I can't name my item or good that I don't know. Like the subscription-based services, like let's see, like a HelloFresh or stuff like I said, they're pretty terrible. Their food, the way it tastes, and the seasonings, yeah. Like the chicken and stuff tastes spongy, and I know I cooked the life out of the chicken. Not the life out of it, but like I know it was done, but I questioned the freshness of stuff. The freshness of meat and certain stuff like that, like, you know. What? That was just a bad, what you call it. That was third party, but I didn't have to deal about that one. Hopefully like 3 more of them get off. We're good, but someone talking about, would you rather take 600,000 or 850 credit score? I mean, think about it. Credit score is basically how likely, it's a ratio of how well you are at paying your bills on time and certain stuff. If you get sent to collection, that's really gonna mess you up. And then, like, basically, there's people who just buy like bad debts, certain stuff like that, to make money that way. But someone like 800,000, not 800, 600,000 or 850 credit score. That's easy. I don't have that problem because credit score, like for instance, you know, 800 credit score, like 813. It's pretty good credit score, ballpark range. Like my family, we don't spend money like that. We pay our bills and stuff like that. So 800 credit score, think about that. Money and certain stuff like that, I feel like it's interesting. If you don't have a good relationship with money, or you don't have a good relationship with like learning of how you live, whether you spend, like if you're spending more money than what you're netting, like you could make $4,000 a month, but your expenses, like if you have $1,500 rent, that's 2,500, but after taxes and stuff like that, you may see about 2,700. So if you have like $2,700 left or something like that to that amount, and you have car, you have all this different stuff, benefits, these packages and certain stuff like that, where your employer may cover certain stuff, 80/20, 70/30, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, a lot of these jobs and certain stuff are not paying that good. Like a $40,000 a year job is, it's decent, but if you have a family, you're not gonna be able to support uh, yourself and your family with that amount of money. And then people talk about $1 million a year jobs. There's no $1 million a year jobs. I know companies looking for $1 million a year jobs. Like that's not even sustainable. Like you can't afford to live. Like there's a lot of places where people can't afford to live. Like New Jersey, property tax and stuff is high. New York is high too, but at the same time, a lot of people in New York, they live all around. Like you have people living in Bronx, you have people living in Queens, different type of stuff like that. Yonkers a little bit out like further. Ain't that much going on in places like that, in all seriousness. So dude tried to snatch my scar, bro. You know he did not deserve that, because I'm the one who killed him. You gotta watch out. That was not that guy's scar. I know it's just the Marauders. Oh yeah, I got a Harbor Stone. But back to $1 million a year job thing. There's no $1 million a year job, like, you know. You might have a couple industries that get basically that give you the opportunity to get that $1 million like over a course of time, but there's not that many jobs that are kind of actively trying to look for certain stuff. Like, you know, people want to get to that 20-year mark at a job. There's not really pensions anymore. That type of stuff doesn't happen. So, people are not staying at these little jobs. You know, a lot of people don't want to, you know, be at a job for 20-something years. It's like use it as a stepping stone and then move on. Like, you know, I know a whole lot of people are talking about mass communications and certain stuff like that. How, you know, a company might pay for somebody to go. They might have done mass communications, but what they're doing is really engineering, but more so the business side of communications. But that's interesting. Like, people can do business and certain stuff like that, and then it can work for an engineering company, but work out like the deals. Like telecommunications, I feel like that's interesting. But at the same time, telecommunications is like, it's like big. I don't even know. Yeah, I'll just take that, because the hunting rifle is okay. I mean, it's not by any means bad, but it's not 100% great. So, but definitely, I think that, you know, jobs and certain stuff, job security is not a thing anymore. Some jobs that people lost, they're just not coming back. The thing that I think that makes sense from a logistics standpoint is McDonald's putting those kiosks in there, and then, you know, COVID-19 happens. You know, they're trying to cut people's jobs and certain stuff like that, and then they spent a lot of money in technology. That's a L. By any means, that's a L, because, you know, you spent money on infrastructure at every store, and then they made a little like thing about how a majority of like the kiosks at McDonald's contain fecal matter. You know, people weren't washing their hands and certain stuff like that. That's nasty. Not only is that nasty, that's just what you call disgusting. But I think you know, gas stations a whole lot worse. You know, somebody could just leave a gas station, not wash their hand, and be browsing the chips. Just nasty. Like the chips and certain stuff, I don't know. Getting stuff from gas stations, you gotta be careful too. I know certain people that go to gas stations for pizza, stuff like that. I mean, pizza and stuff is fine, but I mean, I really want to upgrade my thing real quick, so that's what I'm gonna do. But like I said, there's not that many $1 million a year jobs. Like, a majority of the time you're gonna have to start that your own, because a lot of places they're not gonna pay, you know, that amount of money. And at the same time, you know, I feel like jobs and certain stuff like that, they're just capping out. They want employees who don't question anything. They want, you know, people to come to work, you know, not happy if the morale and stuff is low, expect to get results done on an unrealistic budget. You know, you can't do a marketing campaign for a company or product within, you know, within like 2 months. Like, you can't do that. Like, especially if it's like a launch. Like, okay, let's say a company like Uber or certain stuff, they had intended to do like a revamped, you know, approach for, you know, a specific area like North America. you know, like countries and surrounding areas, like a concentration in, let's say, that specific area where I feel like companies and certain stuff are, like LA. It wouldn't make that much sense for, you know, them to basically, the stuff that, how certain stuff came about, like places and stuff, they actually have to pay, like cabs and stuff, they actually have to pay a steep fee to operate business and certain stuff. It's called a medallion. That's at least what they use in New York. Medallions and stuff are going for like $500,000. So by going for like $500,000, you know, since Uber and all these different rideshare companies came around, you can imagine, you know, people paying some $500,000 for it, expecting to make their money back and then some. And then you have to go through a accrediting body and certain stuff like that, actively checking for, you know, people's licenses and stuff like that. So that's pretty steep. That's not really a good thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you pay that amount of money and then, you know, you're not making your money back, you know, obviously there's going to be some red flags. And definitely paying a lot of money for certain stuff like a medallion, you already know what to do with that is. You're kind of limiting your capital, because you have drivers, you have different companies, and then you have, like, for instance, like a towing company. A towing company and certain stuff, you know, they have a, like, jurisdiction basically, what territories that, you know, states have access to, you know, tow. And then the thing with towing is really no better than a cab. If we're being honest, it's no better than the cab system, because if you get, like, not towed, but like you need your car, it breaks down. If your car breaks down and you know, you need it towed to like an auto shop for it to basically get maintenance on it, and then you pretty much are out. You're out some money, and the cost per mile definitely goes up. Like, you got a couple cents a mile. Like, I think it's a steep price, like 23 cents a mile. So if, like, you go 20 miles, certain stuff like that, that adds up. And then they already have like a set price. Like, that's why it's kind of good to have AAA, because you don't never understand like what could happen. A lot of people, like, especially if you're out of gas, AAA will bring you some gas for your car so you can get to a good spot and a good destination. So it does, but I think like the fees and stuff go up. But the maintenance or auto body shops and stuff like that, yeah. Like, people, I remember like this finance class I took, like I said, in high school. The person, like Dave Ramsey, was talking about how you buy certain stuff. Like, you buy a piece of car and stuff like that, you know, save up a principal of $500 a month, and you save your money, and you just keep on spending, not spending, saving, and then basically paying for your cars that way. So you upgrade, but what it doesn't take into account is that cars and stuff need maintenance. You know, you're not going to put 10,000 miles on a car, you know, not get an oil change, or, you know, especially with some of these terrible cars that are out here, like a Accord or something like that. You know, Accord, it has good gas mileage and certain stuff. You know, you definitely get a lot of value from that perspective, but that guy. These guys is terrible. You jumped over the snipe. If I get third party. I mean, I died 'cause I got third party, so. Oh well, who knows? Definitely in a good position there, but. No, people talking about wealth inequality, and like in America, how rich you keep getting rich. I mean, the thing about it, I understand, like, you know, people paying taxes and stuff like that, middle class paying taxes. I think it's unfair, but at the same time, you got to think about it. The money aspect of certain stuff, like, I mean, people supposed to pay their fair share of taxes and certain stuff like that. And after you make a certain amount of like money and certain stuff like that, like if you make like $1 million a year or more, your tax bracket's like 40%. And so there's a couple states with no income, like state income tax. Florida is a great example. I think Texas is one of them as well. I'm pretty sure there's other states and stuff like that. And there's like places too that people wind up going, like New Jersey also has some crazy stuff going on too. You can't pump your own gas and certain stuff like that, and the gas is more expensive, so people wind up going to like Delaware for gas and stuff like that. So all them different places and stuff like right there. Like Jamaica, you can't pump your own gas too, cause that's a job. But like pumping gas and stuff, I mean, I think that is a job, but at the same time, that's a sucky job to pump gas. Pumping gas is not hard, but at the same time, I mean, you gotta be careful. And I don't know. The dumbest thing I think I've seen somebody do here recently is smoking what you call it, like a blunt, like a cherry black and mild at a gas station, at a gas pump. Not like actually outside, but in their car. Not with the gas pump and stuff out, but like they be smoking. I had to get out of there, but things go boom. You know, obviously it didn't, but you know, who does that? Who does that? That's besides the point. Like cigarettes and certain stuff like that. For the most part, like you have to pay. Obviously, you have to pay for certain stuff, but you like paying to smoke a cigarette, something that's not good for you, and then healthcare as it is being high and certain stuff like that, and especially these jobs, they're not paying, health insurance so you can basically mess up your lungs. And a majority of like servers at restaurants and stuff like that, that's what they're doing the majority of the time, and cooks smoking a cigarette majority of the time, especially when they're on their break. I think a lot of stuff is an L. But at the same time, like if you're working a job, and a lot of people trying to do stuff from home now, especially here recently, I feel like you should be able to take some time off for certain stuff, but like you're not gonna be working from home at like from a restaurant. I know certain people, or certain companies and different restaurants and stuff like that, they had to furlough their employees, and people had to file for unemployment. Like I know there was this pizza place and certain stuff, like around this time the owners would go on a cruise like in the Mediterranean Sea, like Italy, and then they go a few other places. I got like a kill and a half, but these guys don't get me, I'm gone. The guys weren't even that good to knock me. It's because I had the Marauders. There you go. I'm out. Oh boy. Like, definitely a lot of jobs and certain stuff. They're not paying $1 million a year. And then a lot of stuff. Pete talking about $1 million. $1 million is good, but $1 million isn't like a stepping stone. Like you could have $1 million and certain stuff just be gone. Like especially like people talk about getting a certain house or certain stuff like that. Like a mansion. I mean, mansion is pretty steep. Like paying for certain stuff is definitely the giddy gunner. Mini Marauder. There we go. Nice. But definitely, like a lot of people, like money and stuff can go pretty quick because taxes. Everything you got to pay a tax on. Like you got to pay property tax for a house. You have to pay property tax for a car. There's a lot of taxes and stuff that you have to pay. You have to pay for vehicle registration and tax. It's pretty much why cars and certain stuff are steep. Like it don't make sense for, you know, someone to buy, let's see, like a car like a Dodge SRT, like the B, the new stuff. It doesn't make that much sense to pay for a car that's like $55,000 and then finance it for 72 months because think about it, warranty and then the $55,000. You're gonna probably put a lot of miles on the car, relatively speaking, and then at the same time, the maintenance of the car. Once you pay a lot of money for something, I feel like, you know, cars and certain stuff like that, you definitely have to maintain the maintenance and the upkeep of the car. So, a Dodge and stuff's not that expensive, but like if you factor a few things in there, like the car payments, and then, you think about other cars people do, like people try to do trade-in value too for cars and then, you know, get some money knocked down for cars. I mean, sometimes you get a good deal out of certain stuff, but otherwise than that, I really don't think trading vehicles in really is a good idea. But it just depends on what type of like car dealership you go to. Because like I said, people can do some stuff that really basically tell you that the value of your car and stuff like that is gone down a substantial amount, and that's false. Like somebody can unscrew the gas cap to your car and throw out a code and certain stuff like that, give it a false reading, and then they can knock down like, you know, $2,000, $3,000 price of a car to try to scam people out their money. I mean, it's crazy out here what people do for like $1 and stuff like that. Or car salesman, it's kind of, you know, you have to have like a certain skill set. But a lot of stuff's about numbers, stuff like that. And commission. A commission-based job is not bad, but I don't really care about that. Like the steep price of certain stuff, like a car. A car's depreciation, like it basically depreciates like a lot. You have a depreciation expense with that, and then the cost of a car, cars and stuff like that, they're intended to make money. Nothing wrong with that, but it just depends on how much money you're willing to pay. Like a lot of people are scared to ask, is there any type of money and stuff that they could get knocked down from like the total car, or negotiate. Like you have to have good negotiation skills, but at the same time, some of these cars and stuff like that, they're just not good. The specs of the car is not good. And there's a lot of stuff that people do too, especially with homes. I know a lot of people try to sell homes a certain way. Like there's different approaches and certain stuff that people try to do to sell homes. Um, Stuff too, business wise, that I feel like it's kind of shady too. But at the same time, it's just you gotta look like a tax assessment. You gotta look at tax assessment because a lot of people they try to drive up prices for houses and stuff like that. It could be an overpriced prefab house. Like KB Homes is like a developer. They just sell prefab homes. Prefab homes are not bad, but like areas and stuff like that, paying $200,000 for a house, you obviously have to have like 20. You have to put 20% down on homes. That's pretty steep. That's basically like you have to put $40,000 down on a house, and then you basically pay the difference. So you basically financing 160,000. You're breaking it up, and like it's 30-year lease, so you break it down. They give you time, but at the same time, who's living in the house for 30 years? It just depends. That's the real thing. Like, who's really paying a steep price for a house? And then, like, the housing market is pretty good, but at the same time, it just houses that are like overpriced. You have to be thinking about stuff like that. Houses be sitting around for a long time, and a lot of people think that home ownership and stuff is like expensive. I mean, a lot of people, it just depends. Home ownership is they have programs and stuff like first time buyers program, but a lot of people don't really see themselves owning stuff like that, a house. But I think the stuff like the gaming houses situation, stuff like that, a lot of that stuff's kind of corny. And then like I feel like it's different. Everybody's doing something else. Like a gaming house, that's a dub. Like I feel like once you start renting a place and stuff like that, especially renting a mansion and stuff like that, I mean the finance piece, like people could be missing out on their end of the rent. Like there's also stuff that people be doing don't make any sense, like college too. People be doing it's like trying to finance a trip or stuff like that. People talk about trips and stuff they want to go on. People try to make travel companies, especially in school, and people don't have no like funds of like actually going there, so they try to charge like steep amount, like maybe $800. Like people do a cruise to go to Cancun or something like that before the virus and stuff like that. The $800 is $800 is expensive, but it's not that expensive. But the person themselves didn't have any money, stuff like that, to go on a cruise. They have like a travel company, but that's what they did. But they just pitched the idea to a friend. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'd rather people be upfront with instead of actually act like they had the idea and then charging people maybe like $150 extra so they can like get the people up there. Like 6 different people, they got excursions. The person cooked food, but they like I mean. There's a lot of stuff people do that just don't make any sense, but I'll let it be. But definitely in college and stuff, a lot of stuff, people do a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense. But I mean, you live and you learn, I guess, and sooner or later, I guess people will get it. But steep prices for stuff, I'm not really a component of like, certain stuff. Like another thing that somebody did too, especially like traveling, a lot of people want to showcase travel. They want to have a company. They want to have the ability to travel, stuff like that. By having like a travel company, you know, people trying to do that, like brand themselves. It's like we having this, we're going to this location. You know, down payments, especially I know somebody like they tried to do a cruise thing, like a college cruise. I mean, that was good in theory, but it's just not like, you know, I would never do a college cruise, like go on cruise with other college students, not but college students. You have to have a whole lot of stuff like accidental insurance and incidental insurance too, in case something gets planned, like stuff goes horribly wrong, like people are able to do like certain stuff. A lot of stuff people don't think out. And that's, for obvious reason, that's bad. Because, you know, you don't go to certain places without having some type of insurance. Or making sure that, you know, your money and stuff is straight. You know, you can get some of your money back. And you also have to kind of be sure about your immunizations too, with places. But back to what I'm saying, like excursions, like people were talking about, yeah, Mexico, or booking and stuff like that. I mean, you can't really say that you're a company and stuff like that, or you're trying to brand out, you're trying to get like college students and stuff like on a budget to go on, you know, excursion to like Mexico, or like, you know, I'll never fly a budget airline. Like, you know, it's no point in me to fly on a budget airline or something like that. You know, you want to be relaxed, you know, you want to have space, you want to have leg room. And the way stuff is, people are nasty. I mean, I try to sit like, you know, at a good spot and have plenty of decent room and stuff like that. But these budget airlines, there, you know, there's nothing wrong with something on budget, but then again, there is. Budget and stuff don't mean good. And yeah, I mean, there's a thought with that one. By reducing your prices and stuff like that. But a lot of prices and stuff is steep. But back to what I'm saying about, you know, people trying to have these companies and certain stuff like that. I mean, I think it's good that people trying to do certain stuff, but like a college thing, telling people how to travel, and then like, you know, book with them, you know, pay them a steep amount. You know, if you don't have the funds available, but I understand people trying to do, they're trying to see the world too. And it's not really wrong with what they're doing, but I'd rather people be upfront about some of the stuff. Like, you know, you can't promise excursions and, you know, you don't have the itinerary or the details and stuff together. That's why, I mean, book. I know people are trying to start like traveling companies and travel agencies, but, you know, you don't really have the skill set to do that. That doesn't really work. Like living situation, like you're trying to live in a villa, stuff like that. Villas and stuff is not necessarily expensive in a sense, because there's certain places you get a pretty good deal. Maybe like for a weekend, it depends. There's places like Cuba, probably you can probably rent one for like $600 or something. Not 100% sure, but it's not bad. It's not really bad price, but is it really worth doing that? You don't know exactly the itinerary. Not the best idea, relatively speaking. If you don't have the details worked out, then a lot of stuff could go sideways. Like I said, you need to work out like incidentals. And you definitely need to have some type of medical insurance and stuff like that too. Because like travel agencies and certain stuff like that, the need for it is not really, or booking certain stuff, it doesn't really make that much sense to have all this booking stuff. You know, you don't even know the itinerary, you don't know anything about like the price and stuff that you have to pay. Working that out is kind of a good start. Because the details, like a lot of details people don't check. I think there's just a lot of companies and stuff like that that, you know, may have some deals, but you really have to check around. And then, like, I know some people try to have, like, go without black-owned travel agents. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, I feel like a majority of the time, some of that stuff you can do yourself, but a lot of people don't have the convenience to do that, or they think it's too much. But it's not that much. You know, you have stuff like, what's one of the things? Expedia, you have Orbits, you have all those different type of stuff that give you a good idea. You compare prices, and you know, Orbits and stuff, they got good packages and stuff like that. So it just depends. It just depends. I don't 100% believe a lot of stuff, like, you know, people talk about stuff is cheap and travel is expensive. Maybe not 100%. I shot that dude, bro. Imagine how trash you have to be to miss shots. It's terrible. Especially with a shot attack. This guy didn't do anything really. This gold shot is not bad. That's what I'm talking about, the whole map. Like, you know, you're definitely gonna get third party. That guy should just drink the slurp fish. He's not gonna die. That's why I sat on like the stuff in the water, because it's third party. You're not sure who's shooting at you and whatnot. What time is it? Cause if it's like late, I might get off like 1:20 or something like that. You know, people talk about too, just jobs in general. That don't make sense how that just basically went through his head. Hitbox is broken on that. Oh well, bro. But paying like certain stuff, like I said, especially with these companies and stuff like that, nah, for the most part, I feel like it's better to keep your money in your pocket sometimes. And definitely certain stuff, you gotta have a good itinerary and stuff like that, or knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into, relatively speaking, before certain stuff. It's like an excursion and certain stuff is expensive. You know, it might be a 4-hour drive and stuff might cost like $400. Sightseeing, certain stuff like that. So you got to have some of your stuff planned out. There's certain stuff that's longer than a day trip, so I don't know, man. Like, especially certain places, like, you know, Jamaica and certain stuff like that. The US dollar, I mean, it's strong, but the euro is worth more than a dollar. Like a pound sterling is obviously, like a quid is worth more than a dollar. Yeah, I'm about out of that fight. Like, there's also a few other things that I don't understand why the price is so steep. Stuff is like, I don't know. Airfare too, like itinerary stuff like that. If you book with a company, I'd rather go with like Expedia, that type of stuff, Orbitz, because at least at least you know, relatively speaking, that you know you're gonna get a deal. You know you have a good itinerary, relatively speaking. You don't have to deal with certain stuff unless it comes bundled in a package instead of like, you know, people scramble for certain stuff. With travel agencies, I mean, you deal with a lot of BS too. I think the thing with coronavirus too is that travel agencies and certain stuff, they have huge packages and certain stuff to have people to travel, but you know, I feel like they're gonna go bankrupt too. If hotels and certain stuff are having a difficult time, nobody traveling right now, so you have a like deal with a company or a country, because like certain countries, they have their own airlines. Like for a while, you know, in Jamaica they had their own like airline that was owned by the government. It was called Air Jamaica, so that went defunct, stuff like that. Um, Stuff like that. That's not necessarily a budget airline, but a lot of stuff like Spirit's terrible. Frontier, like I remember someone was talking about how they got a flight and they was going to like something like they was trying to get somewhere, and you know they got a lot of airports in New York. LaGuardia is one of the worst airports in New York. It's terrible. JFK is probably the better airport to definitely get into, but there's also other countries and stuff like that. Honduras, like that's pretty dangerous airport, because the airport is like located in the mountain, and you know, definitely people don't land. You don't have a smooth landing. You know, the doggone plane is jumping. That's pretty dangerous. Last plane I went on, it wasn't necessarily jumping. You know, the person slowed it down, but altitude and certain stuff. You have to know latitude and longitude, but most of the part, like, I think that, you know, airplane, after they're in the air, they just let the stuff, they put it in the coordinates, they put it on autopilot. You know, they have that pilot, sit in there, you know, they control the, speed of the plane, stuff like that. You know, you got turbulence and certain stuff like that, and it's interesting. I'm pretty accurate with the what you call it, burst. So back to what I'm saying about like the travel stuff like that. Stuff is going bankrupt left and right, because you know you have a lot of expenses and a lot of costs, and you know your stuff is dependent upon people, you know, traveling. Obviously, with traveling and stuff, you take a risk, but you know, obviously the virus and stuff is still going on, and it's not ending anytime soon. So, bats and stuff like that. You know, you shouldn't, like, I feel like, not being ethnocentric or anything like that, but eating animals, certain animals, is just not good. It's not good. You know, like, you should eat a rat. Rats and stuff are, they cure disease. I know in Louisiana they have this thing called like a nutri-rat, something like that. Something similar. It's like a rodent basically, and it's basically like an invasive species and stuff like that, because it's almost similar to a beaver, and it destroys like vegetation and crops. You know, they're paying people a certain amount of money to kill these things and hunt these things down. I felt like that's interesting to know. And then also they're having to kill these boars in Texas and stuff like that, because they're destroying vegetation again, destroying crops. That's a huge problem. I've seen someone move. Yep, it's him. I know sure as mess I saw him. So, pretty lucky shot by me, I guess. I don't need that pump. I do need SMG though. But like, definitely a lot of stuff is going bankrupt. It doesn't help, like, you know, a lot of people question biological origins and stuff like that, but I mean, you know, this, like, virus and stuff is new. But like I said, a lot of animals and stuff get sick like humans do. You know, animals and stuff like that, they can get cancer too. Like cows and stuff, they can get cancer. They can get sick and die off of, you know, just stuff. They can just die. But you just don't hear about it that much. A lot of stuff could be instituted, like, you know, bring awareness, not really awareness, but like, I know a lot of stuff like animals, there's certain stuff like that, they definitely are kind of at an increased risk of certain stuff like that. Like I said, people can't be going into caves and certain stuff like that. You know, because there could be bats and stuff inside of there. You know, you don't want to deal with bats or deal with. You definitely don't want certain stuff to go south with in regards to, you know, from a logistics standpoint. Like, you know, if you're excavating a site and there's bats, that could have easily been happening. That's probably why it spread a coronavirus. So I don't really necessarily 100% believe maybe some of the stuff, because before they had like an outbreak and it's because somebody was excavating at a site and there was bats and stuff inside of it. Like miners and certain stuff like that were inside of a cave and there was bats. And they did like a story on that. People trapped in there. I remember when there was like some Buddhist people, or it was in one of them countries and stuff like that, and they were trapped in a cave. It was like a long time ago, like relatively 3 years ago, and they were stuck in there for like 2 weeks. In the water and stuff, like they could barely breathe and stuff like that. To tread and they had to breathe through their nose. It was right there at their head and stuff like that. They had to send water and food and stuff like that. Try to talk to them, communicate with people. They wanted rescuing them people, but you know, that's what I'm saying. You know, you can't go to different places and stuff and not know like accurate type of thing, or like with a guide warning or something like that, or it's a low-lying area. And, you know, the thing about it, I wouldn't be more concerned about the flooding component. I'll be concerned about like the actual terrain more so, because a lot of places they do have quicksand, and quicksand and stuff can kill people. Someone had to pull you out of quicksand. Like, it takes a whole lot of manpower and effort to get somebody out of some quicksand. It's not no quick thing that somebody can just get you out of. Like, it's dangerous, but that's not the point. But I think that the coronavirus and stuff, like I said, it could like, we don't exactly 100% know exactly what happened. Like, people talking about the Chinese started the coronavirus, came out the lab. We're not 100% sure, because I mean, places and stuff, they do study diseases. Like the CDC has viruses, like, you know, a weakened form of the virus, but they store stuff in a petri dish in very sterile conditions and stuff like that. Stuff that could, has been out for a while, but it's probably deadlier than like a few things like a common flu, common cold, and stuff like that. They definitely have petri dishes of like bacteria and germs. Oh my god. I'll play like 2 more and I'm off. I think I did good that game. It's just that we folded. I should have eliminated that guy. Still trying to help my teammate out, but I have not heard anything about coronavirus, like from any of the news networks. CNN breaking. Or like, I'm still thinking about from a perspective, like people talking about 5-star hotels. 5-star hotels and stuff like that, itinerary. Some of this stuff is like, I don't know, it's pointless. And I 110% mean it's pointless. Like a 5-star hotel, don't get me wrong, 5-star hotels stuff is nice. A good 4-star hotel is good. 3.5-star hotels, you know, ideal. The thing about it, after a certain while, you know, price and stuff is steep. That's given. But a lot of stuff is not. I feel like people put it on a show for certain stuff. A lot of stuff just isn't that good. Like, especially the jobs. Some people work there, they could care less about the job. One time I went to an excursion like in Puerto Rico, and then there was this guy at Selling Point. He was so mad about something. He put on the $1 Million Smile. He was so frustrated. He put on a smile, the Selling Point, about this like excursion. He really I don't think he cared about the job. He got tired of it. I'm not even sure if he still worked there, but it seemed like he worked there for a while, but he got tired. Because normally when management stuff changes out of place, a lot of people become like, you know, numb to it. Because, you know, maybe management leadership at, you know, at this job changed, and, you know, once a manager, stuff like that changes, you know, the morale stuff is low. It's almost impossible to get anything done. But like food and stuff like that, there's like certain places and stuff like that, hotel food at like maybe a 4-star hotel is not good, the service is not good. Aesthetically, like maybe the outside, the waterfront view is nice, but otherwise than that, not good. The biggest thing with like hotels and stuff like that, they obviously, hotels and stuff is expensive. For obvious reasons. I mean, I can understand a steep price for a hotel. You took what I wanted. more money for some things is just not. People talk about the experience. Experience you get is very doctored or like staged, in my opinion. Cause like there could be like hotels and stuff that you can stay at and stuff like that. And then they have like a mandatory meeting, or not mandatory, but like something they try to get you to sell on like timeshare. Like type of stuff is staged. You're not really getting the satisfaction out of stuff. And the selling points that they try to sell you on is just like timeshares are pretty bad. From a standpoint, some of it can be profitable, and some of it can't. Like the dumbest thing I think that happened, for instance, is there was a guy, he tried to like my parents were looking at a timeshare like probably like something like 10 years ago, and there was this guy, he was like a real estate person. He tried to sell a place, sell a property, thing, like a little condo, like a timeshare condo. So it was down like Myrtle Beach. It's like it was not really a nice place. Well, aesthetically it looked nice, like on the outside, but inside it was terrible. It was nasty. The place had glamour shots. That's another thing people gotta be wary of, glamour shots. And the place actually looks terrible. The place, like the actual unit, the person was trying to sell, the real estate person tried to sell, had rat droppings inside of it, like rat droppings, like live rat droppings. That guy had the $1 million sinkers. There's a shame on his face. That was funny, cause you're trying to sell a property, and you have rat droppings. That's nasty. And exterminate, like, especially with something like hotels and certain stuff like that, and the condos that they try to sell. It's just nasty. The glamour shots and stuff that they put out there. There was another place too. It didn't have rat dropping stuff, but the thing was outdated and old, and they didn't plan to do any type of renovations on this place, and it's no longer existent. The place was called L'Enfant Plaza in DC. It was a historic place from the 70s. It had a lot of stuff going on for it. Had the name. Yeah, but the steep prices for stuff is like, it's kind of like it's never a good idea for certain stuff, like, to have a glamour shot, certain stuff like, false advertising. Paying money for certain stuff also doesn't make sense. Like paying maintenance, like could be ridiculous. Like hotels and certain stuff. I think about what you call it. Just like people, housekeeping. That stuff is nasty. Like the bed. The vids, people changing the beds, the sheets. I don't want to think about what type of bodily fluids and stuff is on sheets and people touching that and the smells. I feel like you know where I'm going on with this, but I'm stop while we at it. But it's just it's funny. Steep prices for stuff, like I said, is not good. Like, if you talk about real estate and timeshares give you the idea that, you know, you can stay, you know, you can make money off stuff. People, basically, it's a shared property. So you own it for a certain period of time. You know, it's a summer getaway, you know, you can stay at a place. And definitely fees and stuff like that, maintenance fees and stuff they try to charge. I feel like that's kind of scammy and predatory, but we're not going to talk about it. But I feel like another problem that's like places and stuff have is the selling points too. They try to give people about why they should invest. You know, you really can't tell people what to do with their money. Like in terms of like why they should, you know, invest into your property. Certain stuff is just a failing property or just a failing thing anyway. Like you really can't expect somebody to want to spend, you know, like I swear I thought that was like a bot. But yeah, you definitely can't expect somebody to spend money on, you know, a property, and it's just not like, you know, what people expect. Like, what's a property? Like a waterfront condo on the beach is obviously gonna go for like 650,000. No, nothing like that. You know, a good condo. You know, you got an investment. I'll say a good, like, you know, you make your money back, but not no 650, nothing like that. That's just extreme. I would say maybe a good like 40,000. That's pretty decent, I think. Money components to a lot of things. It's important people realize that, but like real estate and stuff like that, definitely some of the stuff is mixed use. Wow, third party. What time is it? 120 is probably my last game before I get off. Probably get myself something to drink. Some sweet tea. Call it night. But like, from a standpoint with like businesses and stuff like that, especially real estate and commercial real estate and residential, you know, basically a timeshare is basically mixed use. So, you know, obviously you have ownership of it, but you can't have it any time. You have a allotted time, allotted period. We have off months where you may get it for maybe a week or two. It just depends. But it's definitely mixed use. Yep. But there's also some stuff like, you know, especially with timeshares and places you gotta really check at is definitely, I know certain people, they believe in investing in their kids and certain stuff like that with these teams and these competitions. And the biggest thing I think doesn't make any sense too, in a way, and it's kind of, it's not even really a novelty anymore, but it's like AAU's kind of gotten out of hand with, you know, people paying for the coaches and stuff expenses. You know, you paying the coach, you have to pay the trial. You paying the coach's expenses, the hotels, the stuff like that. You travel, flight, people loading kids up in the van, driving to Florida, driving to Miami. You know, Miami is like 24 hours. Anybody said Miami is not far away, that's a lie. Daytona, you get to Daytona, that's another like 300 miles. And 300 miles is like 3 hours, and 5 hours if it's really bad traffic. And Daytona, the highway and stuff is right next there to the beach, so, you know, there's obviously the local crowd and then, you know, faraway crowd. I feel like a lot of stuff is just funny. Like, you gotta take it, like, a lot of stuff is for the novelty. So like, that was for the novelty. Remember one time I went to this place in Florida and stuff like that. Was a long time ago. I went to an NBA game. I went to go see the Orlando Magic when Dwight Howard was playing for. It was like 2011, 2012. It's like 7th grade. It was near the playoff time. I'm pretty sure it was like 2012. And I went to Orlando Magic game. They was facing the Atlanta Hawks. And Dwight Howard, he was pretty good back then. And then he just started, his career went downhill. That's the point. This place, like, it basically, a majority of the thing was timeshare. It was a hotel and stuff like that. It was, you know, it was decent. But the selling point to try to get people to go was, you know, more about the resort, you know, timeshares and stuff like that. And, you know, they had stuff for parents talking about how the kids and stuff, like, they had a full presentation about, you know, the properties, you know. They had a golf course, they had this and that, and the third up there, and how it was well maintained. But the thing about this place is that they had alligators. They had alligators actually on the resort and stuff like that. So, you know, somebody could be playing golf and there's, you know, there's an alligator out there. So that was dangerous and stuff like that. But the place was kind of nice, you know. They had like a restaurant in there, fairly decent deals and stuff like that for dinner, happy hour type of stuff where, you know, you get a grilled chicken sandwich and fries. Pretty good. That's normally what I get. That place is grilled chicken and fries. I need to get back to getting some grilled chicken and fries and stuff like that. But I occasionally do get my grilled chicken and fries. Still. But definitely could be doing a little bit better on the diet side. I'm not really. I probably eat like 2 meals a day, maybe 1.5 meals. God, sometimes I really don't eat certain stuff, but I gotta get my protein stuff up. But from a business standpoint and like a few other things, I don't expect like definitely these hotels and stuff like that. Like I said, the selling point is the kids' property. You know, they have like a lazy river, a thing like that. There's a lot of stuff. The one thing that I think that was kind of memorable, since I was a kid, like my dad worked for this corporation. We went to like Georgia, Florida, and we went to like Universal Studios. That was a long time ago. That was like in 2006. So it was pretty eventful. We had a lot of things to do. The Universal Studios, it was cool. I went to their ET exhibit. Oh, you took my loot. Okay, buddy. Oh, he left. That's tough. But steep prices for certain stuff I don't really agree on. Like, if you paid a lot of money for, like, a lot of stuff. Like I said, in regards to the condos and certain stuff like that. Not for a condo, but just like, especially this, hotel condo stuff. Mixed use. The hotel itself, it tried to sell people on condos on this. It was nice, you know, golf place and stuff like that. That was like 2011. But the selling point was trying to sell the parents with the kids. They have a place to go. You know, it's in Florida. You know, we have a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff in the surrounding area. Stuff like that, you know. So Orlando. Stuff like that. Tampa. But a lot of people don't even know the capital of Florida. It's not Miami. None of that. It's not even Tampa. It's Tallahassee. I don't really think that Tallahassee's really has a lot of stuff going on. Miami does, but somebody from my school I went to class with, he said that Miami is the fraud capital of the world. There's just so much stuff going on. Now people basically, you know, people be renting stuff, like renting a Lamborghini or stuff like that. But, you know, I'm still laughing. People talking about renting Lamborghinis. I would never want to rent a Lamborghini. Like, it just, no. Because something happens to that car, it's remotely get a scuff, yeah. That, that's a good couple paychecks, you know. Ain't nobody's fault but yourself. Like someone rent a Lamborghini for prom. That's just doing too much. Up here, set up here, moonwalking back. But definitely, like the biggest things that hotels definitely try to sell people on is definitely the fact that you can have kids and stuff go. But for the price and stuff like that, you shouldn't try to sell certain stuff, kids on things. I guess from a perspective like businesses and certain stuff, like you paying money for products. Like I said, like a hotel, the hotel's job is to I feel like you can ask for vouchers and stuff like the breakfast. Like I'm not really a big on a breakfast person, um, but I like a hotel breakfast. Hotel breakfast is pretty decent. It never fails to disappoint me. But hotel breakfast and stuff like that, buffet, that's never gonna come back again. Well, I'd rather have people serve you. But definitely the mask thing. A lot of people gonna be wearing masks for years to come. Fucking dumbass, bro. I'm gonna get away from this comment, bro. Control. That was my fault, but at the same time, I'll play one more and I'm getting off for real. Um, Paying money for certain stuff is just not a good idea. Like, if you pay money for instance, an app or software, or you paying somebody for certain stuff like a service, rendered or stuff, not rendered, but a service, like a subscription service or a console or something, or a free quote. Like that's another thing people talking about, free quote, insurance and certain stuff like that. Information stuff is free, but I think sometimes you can't mix business with you know, trying to find common ground with like a business. Like I remember somebody tried to get mad for what was somebody was trying to get mad because they couldn't sell, you know, like I said, direct TV where you can't make $1. Or I start asking people, how much you paying for cable a month? And stuff like that, you know, trying to sell people and stuff. Like a lot of people, it doesn't even matter if they 100% don't believe, you know, some stuff that's coming out of their mouth. Like people work for Sprint and stuff like that. You don't believe that your network is good. Like I definitely agree that a lot of stuff isn't good for a while. Like I said, the salesperson position is just like it's not good and it's not bad. Like a commission based job, like you know, some stuff you're just not gonna make money off of. Like insurance. Like insurance, a lot of people think that insurance salesmen and stuff make good money. It's not necessarily true because you gotta fight with people about, you know, a coverage, you know, about upgrading their policy or something like that. Sometimes people want to do it, sometimes people are not. They don't see the point. So, it's a lot of stuff, like especially with businesses and definitely organizations. You definitely have to pay a steep fee or price to hear about information. Definitely there's costs and fees associated with a lot of stuff. And obviously the price and stuff is going to be steep, but don't mean you gotta buy it. Like I know a couple organizations, like you know, fraternities and stuff like that, or you know, people were supposed to get some type of free stuff. It's not 100% free. People gotta pay dues and certain stuff like that for being a member. And I think some of that stuff is not even a scam, but like you know, it's not doing anything for anybody, relatively speaking. You pay a steep fee for something. You're supposed to get like a couple events, stuff like that, but you never get it. And going to college and certain stuff like that, I mean, I'm almost done with college, but that's besides the point. I know my school's in some hot water right now, whether or not they're gonna open. They should not open. Cause I know when I go to school, I'm wearing a mask, a face mask, maybe gloves, and I mean, who knows? The thing that's disgusting too is how nasty and stuff computers are at school. People sneezing, especially like, you know, you taking a computer class. I'm definitely a fan of like, you know, wiping down certain stuff, items, or surfaces, and that's with computers. Cause like flu season, you know, you take a computer class, you wonder how long they, you know, they sanitizing this stuff. They don't have disinfectant or like, you know, wipes or stuff like so people can wipe down the stuff. That's interesting. Oh, one time my school, my college that I go attend, said they seriously didn't have me have a username login. So for like 2 months I had this computer class and I had to wind up dropping it because they didn't have me. I wasn't up to date with stuff because I wasn't able to get on the system there, and then the computer that I had, the program that we used for class, I couldn't use it because only at that time it was only compatible with a Windows-based computer software. January. But with that computer class, the thing about it was you had to do modules and certain stuff, and the stuff was not exact, so there's functions and stuff and functionalities that I could not use with, you know, this class. And I wanted to take it with the other professor. He was more lenient, and he didn't do all the stuff like creating posters and all this stuff because I didn't watch the modules and stuff like that, and you kind of expected to do the programs. Now I can do it, but at the same time, my professor that I took the same class again, he was a cool dude. Like, you know, he he worked with students and certain stuff like that, and he wasn't like, he understand that computers and stuff weren't like people's best thing. And you, like, as a business major, you had to take this computer class, and I was I mean, it was interesting. I think it was kind of an L though, from a perspective of, you know, definitely a majority of my class wound up failing. I got like what you call a 90 on the final, so that was good. Got an 84 in the class, and 84 is a B. So my grade wasn't bad before, and the midterm was like 40% of the grade. I'm trying to see how long it takes to store a tree. Oh, another thing I think about college is funny too is that well I don't know. It's stupid. Like people in college, they'll do anything. Like do stuff that they know is wrong. Like people using apps and certain stuff like doing stuff that's illegal. Like Venmo. Like people don't got the money in the account. Venmo basically gives people $20 and those type of apps where you basically loan $20 and certain stuff like that. And people are operating Venmo scams and doing that at the bank, and they get their account suspended at the bank, and they get their what you call it their account they're permanently banned from the stuff. They should be arrested. And some of these people, bro, you'd be surprised who's out there doing that type of stuff, like student leaders or people want to be part of the student body. Like, yeah, you need to take several seats. Just lower. Good bullet velocity. The hell? Got him. Yeah. Yeah, I might want to get it. There's three of us and one of this person. And I know I... Surely one of y'all can go get a dude, bro. GG. I hope y'all enjoyed the stream, guys. Good night.